that went on forever. But that we may well see that down the line. But in fact, we're seeing both the other decks coming out here to start. The Rogue for Darkwonyx and the Shaman for Pormywan. This Rogue is a build of Darkwonyx's own, I believe, that he was testing with and playing a lot with on stream. We saw it on day one being played by Willie Dills. So Darkwonyx playing his Dark Rogue, as he calls it. I believe double sprint in this deck, things like prep and double and to get those out. Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil, Doctor Boom, lots of big threats.
Well, the MVPs in the Rogue decks will be Blade Furies. Those are the best cards you can get against the Shaman, just to wipe everything that Shaman builds up like every single turn. Because Shaman has to get much more value from his cards than his opponent is having, and this means cards like Blade Fury or Fan of Knives with spell power will just wipe his board away.
And with the addition of Tinker's Sharp Sword, those Blade Flurries can do a lot of damage.
Definitely.
You know, if you get a Deadly Poison and a Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil down, you can be doing 7 damage, 8 damage with the Blade Flurry.
So now Darkwonyx, there's the Blade Flurry. So he's really in a great position because he already has the Deadly Poison in hand. Just because the totem was a 1-1, not a 0-2, he didn't opt to coin out the agent, I think.
Yeah, we obviously decided to go ahead and use his dagger on that as well. And you're going to see the Feral Spirits come down here.
The problem is that Darkwonyx has the perfect answer for the Feral Spirits. It's the Deadly Poison. He'll just maybe redagger and play the Deadly Poison just to kill off those 2 creatures in the next turn, and then play... well, actually, he can play Backstab, kill one of the wolves, and damage the second one with the agent. This is also cool.
He could actually, he could clear both if he were to use, because he has the coin as well. So he could SI7. He could Backstab, Deadly Poison, and SI7 to clear the board, or even Deadly Poison and Blade Flurry if he felt like it. But you got to think he's keeping that Blade Flurry for a bigger board.
I think he will use the agent with the Backstab here, just because he has the Blade Flurry. Poison, and he wants to keep that to the later turns. For the later turns, sorry.
So he's thinking through all the possibilities here. It's one of those decks that does have a lot of... It's a very difficult deck to play, from what I've seen. It has a lot of possibilities, a lot of choices to make, a lot of difficult choices that maybe aren't always clear in terms of your line of play. And he's in fact going for the...
That's also an interesting choice.
Exactly. So, like we say, Darkwonyx taking a line of play there that was not one of about 3 that we suggested, and it just shows all the options that this deck has. And time will tell if that pays off. He's looking to try and develop a board of his own. I guess against Shaman, you're maybe thinking that you need to take the initiative.
Well, the Violet Teacher, I think it was a great choice, just because Shaman has 2 points of mana in his arsenal, and this is not enough to clear the Violet Teacher. Like, you can only use Hex when you got it, but that's 3 points of mana, so you're not being able to pull that off.
He opts to go for the Thalnos instead of the Totem. Interesting, he made that decision. Obviously, looking to not looking to build up his board of totems there. Maybe thinking about the card draw coming off that Thalnos being important. He does have the Manatide Totem. Has the Manatide Totem in hand, but also 2 Sludge Belchers on turn 5. Do you think do you go for the Sludge Belcher here, or do you try and maybe build up card draw?
That Violet Teacher is threatening the board like really badly, so I think you should deal with the Violet Teacher as soon as possible.
So you're thinking about a Hex then?
Maybe.
It's going to be so difficult.
Well, Airshock is also something you can do. But still, when you use Airshock, then you can't play the Belcher. That will feel bad.
The Hex on the Violet Teacher would maybe be a problem though for Pormywan down the line. Obviously, you can see the Trade Prince Gallywix and the Doctor Boom in hand for Darkwonyx, and there are other big threats in this deck.
Yeah, that's for sure. He doesn't know that. Maybe he's not even aware that there's a Gallywix and Doctor Boom in his rogue deck. Yeah,
I guess he's probably thinking it's more a Violet Teacher focused deck. like we've seen from more traditional rogue builds that are focused around the Violet Teacher, that if he clears the Violet Teacher with the Earthshock or the Hex, he's taking out a big part of the rogue's arsenal, where in actual fact here, in this deck, it's only a small part of what is a very strong offense.
Yep. Yeah, he uses the hex on the Violet T-shirt, so this will bring that value of that Gallowix in Dr. Boom just over the top. Well, there's the big hunter for the Dr. Boom, so never mind that. But still, the Gallowix is especially good against Shaman, because how do you deal with that unless you trade with your minions, but you don't have minions because Rogue can easily deal with your whole board. So you have to get you have to give a spells to your opponent to trade for that Gallowix. It will feel really bad for Pormywan here.
Are you looking at Lotheb this turn over the Azure Drake, or?
No, I think you'd play Azure Drake. You just want the card draw, and well, yeah, I think you go for Azure Drake. Just want more options, maybe as additional backstep.
Obviously thinking very hard about this. As we said, lots of decisions to make in this deck that, you don't see how they pan out for a number of turns. But it looks like it's going to be the Azure Drake here, getting that the spell power. There's a Sharp Sword Oil. Maybe we'll see some shenanigans with that.
7 points of damage, Blade Flurry. Well, that's like a Flame Strike with 3 spell powers. Quite powerful.
Flame Strike that hits face as well.
Yeah.
We actually saw in the game that Willie Dills played this deck against Green Sheep, the Tinker Sharp Sword Owl and Blade Flurry with Deadly Poison would have given him lethal, but yeah, he actually missed the lethal there. And you see the other big threat in this deck. So with the Hex coming down on the Violet Teacher, there's actually really no way to elegantly deal with the Gallywix, the Boom, and the Ragnaros in this deck of Darkwonyx.
Yeah, you can boom only one of the choices, so it's either Dr. Boom or Ragnaros, and most likely we'll see here just Gallywix on board.
Yeah, definitely. But he is thinking about some other options, but the Gallywix is going to come down. It's just such a good body for 6 mana. It really feels like it's in this legendary in terms of stat distribution.
Yep.
There are things like Earthshock, Flame Tongue in hand.
That's really that hex is biting Pormywan back, because now he doesn't have a way to clear that taunt frog in his way, so he doesn't have access to even attack the Gallywix, and even with that, he doesn't have enough damage to kill that Gallywix.
Such a difficult position here. There's no way for him to kill the Gallywix, particularly as he has that frog there, as you said. But the Sludge Belcher are probably going to come down, maybe with the Totem or the Haunted Creeper. So 2 Sludge Belchers in the way now for Pormywan. They're going to be difficult to deal with, but actually, we could well see a Tinker Sharp Sword Owl Blade Flurry play here. But he doesn't have any way to activate the combo on it, so that's probably unlikely. Do you just Dr. Boom here?
I think you don't have a... I think it's a good option to extend with Dr. Boom. You don't fear Lightning Storm. Like, you will get the Lightning Storm back, and Lightning Storm against Shaman is like one of the best things you can play. Well, obviously Blade Flurry with 7 attack is even better. 8 damage with the spell power we have on board.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I think probably just Dr. Boom here and try and trade away these Belchers. At least one of them. It looks like he's going to go with the... Oh, he's going to go with the Blade Flurry here.
For 4 points of damage. That's enough.
Yeah, so that's going to get through. And he's going to use the SI7 to clear up the last Belcher here. Put him another dagger. Very elegant turn for Darkwonyx. Achieves everything he needs to and keeps a very strong board with Dr. Boom and Ragnaros and Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil and Lotheb all in hand. Big threats. And then a sprint to refill his hand.
Yeah, I think we can assume that this game has come to an end.
It feels like the hand of Darkwonyx just has too much value and too much that can really just push the damage in on the Shaman. The Doomhammer does come into hand, but there's no Rock Biters or anything that would be able to clear up the board. I guess feral spirits here to try and buy some time, but this game is slipping away from Pause My Wham. Looks like he's not.
Well, you can always play Flame Dunk to kill one of the creatures. You can play Doomhammer and Flame Dunk to kill Gallywix. But nothing feels good in this situation.
No, there's just nothing useful. And then regretting perhaps not playing that Mana Tide a few turns earlier to be able to draw deeper into his deck and get more options.
Well, to be honest, he didn't have an occasion to play the Planetite Totem.
So the Feral Spirits are coming down with the Mana Tide Totem, and that's going to buy him a little bit more time and maybe give him more options. But does give a Feral Spirits over to Darkwonyx. Don't know if he's going to use that. Mana's so important, I don't think Overload is really an option.
Well, Darkwonyx is already the game in the reach of his cards that he has in the hand, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, that additional wolves.
So is this a Dr. Boom turn, or are you looking at something? He's going to sprint. He does have 2 in hand, so I guess he wants to try and declog his hand a little bit.
No, I don't think he plays sprint. Lotep or Dr. Boom are way better.
He does go with the Lotheb. You might
now when you played Lotep, you can play also the wolves.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because you can play the Feral Spirits and then you can either sprint or Dr. Boom next turn.
But then you can play Ragnars and maybe you want to kill off your opponent with the Ragnars.
Very, very true. So much damage on board here for Darkwonyx, and the Lotheb just denying really any sort of options with the Overload. The combination of Overload and Lotheb is just absolutely destructive on the Shaman.
There's nothing Shaman can do in this situation. You can only kill the Azure Drake, and that's it.
You can kill the Azure Drake and the SI7, but still not going to be enough.
No, he can't. He doesn't have enough mana. He's
free.
No,
sorry, the totem just spawned. Yeah, so he's going to have to... And that's going to be 13 with the...
Well, he can go for a 50-50 lethal, right, with Rag, or...
He can actually win with the Tinker Sharpsword Oil. He just needs to play the Earthen Ring and then the Tinkers, and then he's got and then that's lethal. So that's going to be it for Darkwonyx.
Well, if he
sees
gets
it, I guess.
if he gets the plus attack on the Farser, then he won't win this turn.
True, true.
But this is a 25% chance to not hit one of the 3 active minions, so you can do that.
Yeah, that definitely feels like the best line of play. I mean, even if he doesn't get lethal here, he can kill off the Flame Tongue Totem and kill off what's on board even, and then just leave himself with Ragnaros for lethal.
Yep.
So that's what he's going to go for. He's going to hope for the 75%. Oh no, he gets the wrong one. Oh no. That's such a shame.
It's still only... It prolongs the agony of Shaman here.
Yeah, not quite enough. In fact, not quite enough even with the Tinker Sharpsword Oil, so he just gives himself even more pressure. There is a Lightning Storm in hand for the Shaman, but it's not enough. And that's going to be game number 1, going over to Darkwonyx with the Rogue. And it's going to be over the Control Warrior of Pause My Wham to see if he can come back in this series. Goes in and plays the Earth Shock, but at this point he knows it's over. I don't know, not entirely sure why. I guess he's just playing out the turn to give the honorable victory to Darkwonyx.
Yeah. He wrote the air power, spell power to them too. But still, that's not enough to deal with the creatures.
As you can hear, Lothar's cat knows that it's not enough for Phil to come back.
Cat is feeling sorry for the Shaman.
Indeed. And he
You
does go ahead.
win this one, friend.
Absolutely. So Darkwonyx 1-0 up in the series here, winning his first game as well over Semijuice. So he's in a good position here, moving through this tournament. But the Shaman deck of Posmywam have the big threats to be able to compete with what was coming out from the Rogue. And it's kind of weird, I guess, to see less big threats coming out of the Shaman and huge amount of threats coming out of the Rogue. I get, like you say, I think he probably just wasn't prepared for the type of Rogue that Darkwonyx was bringing. The
Probably,
Violet Teacher.
probably.
The Hex
Yeah.
and the Violet Teacher really feels like the moment where the match just kind of slipped away from him. That he didn't have what he needed to deal with the big threats coming out, like the Gallywigs.
Well, let's be honest. Almost every single time in meta history, Rogue had an upper hand over Shaman, just because of the efficient AoE clears and free damage with backstabs. This is just backbreaking for the overloaded Shaman every single time, because it's the opposite of what Rogue is doing. Rogue is free cards with preparation and backstabs, and Shaman is paying in parts for his cards. So he's getting his efficient mana is being less used than the rogues.
Sure. And yeah, when you're up against Rogue, just maximizes the mana at every possible opportunity with the smaller spells. It's such a big drawback. And I said with the combination of a Loatheb dropping down when you're overloaded, just gives the Shaman no way out. So we're going to see this Rogue deck, as I said, with the Ragnaros, the Doctor Boom, the Gallywix. That's going to go up against the Control Warrior. Obviously, not a huge amount of time to see that deck, Lothar, but how do you think this Rogue deck will fare against Control Warrior?
Well, if you hit those big hitters uh, early on, like turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, then you can definitely win. But still, Warrior has the means to win against any kind of deck. And usually it looked like this. When there was a Miracle Rogue with Jenkins and the Gazetans, then the warrior wanted to outlast the rogue because he had a finite amount of damage that he can deal in the whole game. But now with the rogue that Darkwonyx built, with the Doctor Boom, with Gallywix, with Ragnaros, you have much more damage output, but it's less explosive than the Leroy Jenkins version. So the warrior has no option to outlast, at least in theory, the rogue.
Sure, you can see our slightly less than intimidating Garrosh there. But we're going to see the Control Warrior against the Rogue. To bring you some score updates as well, Hyped is 1-0 up against Dart. Perhaps if we get finished with this one, we might be able to go into that game, depending on how quickly that one takes as well. But all the other games still I haven't got score updates for any of them, so lasting a little bit longer here. Darkwonyx does have that Trade Prince Gallywix. Like you said, the big threats are so important to come out as early as possible. Is there part of you in Darkwonyx that considers keeping the Trade Prince Gallywix?
Well, I would consider it, but he didn't agree.
He disagrees with us. He does get the Violet Teacher in his opening hand again, and an Earthen Ring.
Which can be very important against the warrior. I mean, the violet teacher. It really
Definitely.
depends on the if the warrior plays whirlwinds, but he plays death spites for sure.
There's an Owl there to deal with the Violet Teacher if you want us to use it, but he does have the Fiery War Axe as well.
Yep. Well, the preparation will definitely help with a sprint, but he's lacking the sprint for later.
Sure, I mean the double preps, double prep, double sprint in this deck can be just can get crazy in the late game when you can draw 4 cards for 4 mana.
The problem is when you draw them very early on, then you have such a bad opening hand, or just an early game even. But luckily for Darkwonyx, he didn't draw any kind of sprints yet. As we saw last game, he didn't even use one either of the sprints.
Sure. Yeah, it was a very kind of restrained from Darkwonyx as he got into that game where he had the 2 sprints. He didn't even, we talked about how he could have thrown out minions on a couple of turns, but he played it, a little bit more reserved, keeping less minions on board to not overextend, even though he had the sprint to refill.
Yep, that's very true.
And it's quite possibly going to be
yeah. Pozmywam opts here for just to build up his armor to maybe do the strategy that was working on the old Mercury Rogue, so out sustain the Rogue damage output. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, as you say, he has the Fiery War Axe in handy. It's interesting he didn't opt to equip that. Looks
Well,
like
I
it's going
think
to be
that's a
an
good option because
yeah.
if you will play the Fairy Warx, it wouldn't achieve anything just because Darkwonyx will put a five mana, five HP minion on board.
And he gets a Death Spite into hand, so he's gonna equip that possibly instead of the Fiery War Axe.
Now the question is, do you attack the Violet Teacher or do you attack Face? If you attack Violet Teacher, then you can attack into anything and still kill the teacher and every single minion spawned from the Violet Teacher. But you will then get 6 points of damage from that. So it was
That is what he's gonna go for. He's gonna go for the face with the Death Spite and set himself up to deal with anything coming out from the Violet Teacher. But there's not a lot of spells in hand for Darkwonyx, so he's not going to overextend with this Death Spite too much. Might think about the Earthen Ring here, but looks like that's what he's going to go for. There's not really any other play other than, I don't know, eviscerate face or anything crazy like that, but it's
yeah.
going to be the Earthen Ring here and deny the value on that Death Spite play. I guess if you're Pormywan, you just kind of maybe keep that for a little while.
Well, we'll see. We'll see the bomb blower. I think next turn.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if the Bomb Lobber comes down, either way, the Bomb Lobber is going to help you clear this board.
Yeah, you can always kill the Violet Teacher and just play Harrison Jones. But then you leave the Farseer to trade with Harrison Jones alongside an example, Backstab or Dagger from Hero or an Agent with a combo. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, you leave yourself open to Darkwonyx having some good turns if you were to play that Harrison Jones. It's a difficult health point against the Rogue. There's just so many things that can deal with it quite efficiently. It's thinking long and hard here, but he's actually just going to go. Yeah, he's going to use the Death Bite first, and then the Bomb Lobber comes down guaranteed on the Violet Teacher, and that's going to clear the board. First time we've seen a Bomb Lobber played in the tournament so far.
Yeah.
Is this just
his stats are way under curve for 5 mana get for 3/3, but essentially he's like a flame cannon on legs, so it's still okay.
is this just a Lotheb turn here, or do you maybe do something with Thalnos and SI7?
Yeah, I think you do Thanos and SI7 and kill off the bomb blobber.
Sure.
Probably Posmifam will held off to that Harrison Jones until there will be a poison plate on the weapon.
Yeah, to try and deny the Blade Flurry.
Yeah.
And a Shield Maiden comes into hand there. It's perfect 6-drop on turn 6 there.
But I don't think you want to play it on right now. You can play the Fury Works, clear off the Agent, and, just armor up.
And there's an Acolyte of Pain there, which looks like it's going to come down.
Oh, I didn't see that card. Sorry. The owl is in.
Yeah, the giant owl is being very, very rude.
Hoot hoot.
It's a very rude owl. It's obstructing our vision. The Galliwix can come down here in turn 6. We did say that's a very, very difficult main to deal with. Does have the owl to deal with that, but that's not going to deal with the body.
Yeah, definitely. And he's missing the execute. So how do you deal with a Galliwix? Well, he will draw some cards from the Acolyte of Pain, like maybe even more than one. First, what do you do as a rogue here? You can play the Loader, but I think the Galliwix is still much better.
You can, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could Lotheb and you could prep the Tinker Sharpsword Oil, and that would kill off the Acolyte of Pain if you. But that feels like a lot of resources committed on board.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage that you won't deal to the warrior, and you're dealing instead to a creature that doesn't really matter in this situation.
He's gonna have to make a decision quickly here. He's getting close to the
Yeah, and
rope.
those animations are not fast at all.
No, he does just go for the Gallywix and ignores the Acolyte, just pushing damage in on face to deny the armor draws as well.
Oh shit! Look now, if he just draws into, well, that's a Galix. Never mind.
Well, if he draws into Shield Slam, he can use the Fiery War Axe to kill it. So
Well, there's
that's
an
an execute.
execute.
So
Yeah.
that's something.
Well, do you silence it first? I think you do, just not to give a answer to the rogue player.
Mm.
To kill of any of your creatures, this would be really harmful for you.
Yeah, I feel like the rogue has enough crazy removal without you giving it an execute as well. I mean, backstab execute, fan of knives, shiv execute.
Oh no! Oh
Oh,
no!
he doesn't
He's giving
silence
the
it
execute.
first. Okay, so the rogue has an execute in hand, and we'll see how well that goes.
Well, he can trigger that with any kind of spell he has in his hand. Blade Fury. Okay.
That's another example of something you can use the execute with.
Well, you can use the prep also, right? So you can play Dagger Up, then no, that's not enough mana. I was just wanted to squeeze the Tinker Sword oil and the Fan of Knives and Blade Fury, but even with preparation, that's not enough. But you want to kill the Shields Maiden, so most likely you can just maybe deal 1 damage with your dagger and execute it. Still, it's like 1 attack, so it's okay just to get that 5 points of damage. You're not very low, so you're not being threatened by the Taskmaster Grommash play.
You got to think you want to push the Loatheb out on board though this turn as well because you've got nothing else to play in terms of minions. He's gonna prep. He's gonna prep something. It's probably gonna be
Prep into dagger to Sheets Maiden, or well, the Eviscerate should be going face most likely, but in this situation, oh, okay,
doesn't do opts not to do anything.
yeah. So now, does Pormywan use his Harrison here? There was no like deadly poisons, no tinker swords, so he might be still holding on to that. But on the other hand, okay, there's Dr. Boom. On the other hand, I just wanted to say that every time you destroy a weapon, that means you're gaining two. Also, by you do not only gain 2 cards, but you also gain 2 points of mana from your opponent.
Sure, yeah, because you make him have to put another dagger up, and when he's putting together combos with Blade Flurry, Deadly Poison, Tinker
Yeah.
Sharpsword Oil, that extra 2 mana can be very important in disrupting the play. But I think you're right that he really wants to hold on to that Harrison Jones for when that weapon's been buffed.
The
And
problem
you
is
see,
that when the rogue has so many mana points, most likely he will not leave a weapon with additional points of attack because they will be used with Blade Fury instantly.
now, are you looking at Fan of Knives Execute here? It doesn't feel good to
To
proc
give
the
the additional,
acolytes, but
yeah.
to give the draws to the acolytes, but you feel like the Fan of
Well,
Knives is just such a good removal for the boom bots.
you can play Azure Drake, Fan of Knives, prep, prep, Fan of Knives, deal 2
Oh
damage to
yeah, yeah,
everything.
okay.
So you just proc the Acolyte once.
He's
Oh, he's sprinting. Okay.
okay. He's sprinting. He is.
Does he have... Oh wow, he's giving 2 card draws.
He's gonna. Yeah, he's
Does
gonna.
he have... Does he have enough time? Oh wow, oh wow.
He, so he plays the Fan of Knives, and he is gonna. Is the execute gonna come down?
I'm not sure, but probably yes.
It looks like those actions were queued. The bombs. Yep, the
Yeah,
execute
yeah.
did get off. Okay.
That was really lucky.
Darkwonyx leaving us hanging there with the rope.
But how many points of damage did bombs gave? I think like
I think it was 4.
5. I think it's 5 because he attacked once into the
Okay.
acolyte, right? And he had 26.
Yeah, it was 4. It was 4 or 5. It definitely wasn't the higher end, so that's pretty good. Looks like Alex Straza is going to come down here, and that is kind of a problem for the rogue. Doesn't have any big game hunters or anything to deal with that. Gets a prep though.
Hmm.
Trying to see if there's trying to think what the ways are to do. I guess something like a sludge belcher, eviscerate, prep, tinkers. No, I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even. I'm trying. It's blade flurry and eviscerate and tinker. This is such a difficult deck to play. He does have double eviscerate. If he was to play the Azure Drake or the Sludge Belcher, he could just put down both eviscerates. But that's a lot of resources to commit to killing this Alexstrasza.
Well, you have to deal with it somehow, or you just put counts and pray for no removals for them. You have the second prep for making more minions and still play some spells, but I think you do it this turn. Like, what do you want to play anyway?
Once again, Darkwonyx leaving us hanging with his with what he's thinking of doing here. He opts for the Violet Teacher and the Sludge Belcher. Just ignore it.
He pinks for 1 armor, which is crucial because it denies the possibility of shield slamming anything without committing into making additional armors and making additional armor.
So it goes back over to the Warrior here. Does have
Well,
a
he
death
has the
spike.
silence, right? He has the
Yeah,
owl in hand, so he can silence the Belcher, deal 8 points of damage to the face, and well, he's one damage of lethal.
sure. Yeah, he has the death spite in hand as well, and the cruel
Taskmaster,
taskmaster.
yeah.
So that can really push damage in. So he's yeah. So he has 14 points of damage here. He's
There's the Grommash. Okay, so
there's
probably he will just push for damage this turn
yeah.
and finish off the game next turn if there will be no additional taunts. Or he thinks of trading. That would be interesting. Well, he can push for damage with the Death Spite, so we'll see what are his what does he choose.
Either way, he can set himself up for lethal with the cruel taskmaster Gromash combo.
I think you should trade. I mean, with the Alexstrasza.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't go for it.
Well, maybe not, because you're at 27. So why would you?
Yeah.
How would the rogue will deal so much points of damage with 10 points of? See, Tinker Master, Deadly Poison, that's 6, 12 with Blade Flurry, Eviscerate 20. That's 24. That's actually lethal. Let's just count. Is that enough mana with the prep? You play 2 for dagger, so you get 8. Then you prep the Thinkmaster that adds 8 points of damage to the face, and that's 11. That's 14 damage. Then you play Deadly Poison. That's 16 points of damage. Then you attack. Yeah, that's lethal.
So the rogue actually has lethal here.
Yeah.
You've counted that way faster than me, Lothar. I'm gonna trust you. But it is
Oh
a lot of
wait!
damage.
There's a possibility that he will get the plus attack on
Of
those
course.
ones.
And he does.
No,
Oh no.
but is that still lethal? Wait. And he runs out of time?
6 blade flurry, double eviscerate. It is enough damage if you can get it all off. And it looks like he's being queued.
He's 1 damage off.
No,
Oh,
he has double
1 damage
eviscerate,
off.
isn't he?
1 damage off, man.
Oh, God, because he's already attacked with the fire. No,
Wow.
insane. Oh wow.
So
No,
as you can
do
see that
27 damage there.
so first of all, Pormywan should trade with his dragon to the Violet Teacher or the Belcher, and on the second hand, we see that there's some really bad synergy between the Violet Teacher and the Tinker Sword's oil. It's like, wow, you have some. when maybe Darkwonyx should play the prep after he played the Thinkmaster's Sword just to avoid spawning one more minion, but then would he have enough mana? I'm not really sure not now. Hmm. Because that was the eviscerates are for 2 mana, and you're missing then 1 point of mana from the prep. I
Well,
think he used every single point of mana, right?
yeah, like I
So
said,
that
he
that
did.
wasn't possible.
Like I said, this deck very, very complicated to play. Requires a lot of complex thinking, decision making, maths, and Darkwonyx. He had all but one damage that he needed there, but it is going to be 1-0. We're going to go into a deciding game in this series, and it's going to be strap in, folks. A Control Warrior mirror match. Got a couple of scores to bring you while we're getting that match ready. Hyped was victorious over Dart 2-0. So Dart is going to go into, I believe, needing to win his next two games in the he's playing, that was his first game of the day. Hyped for 2-1. Alchemix coming back from losing to win his game 2-1. And KitKat's beating my settings 2-0. But we're getting ready for this third match of Darkwonyx versus Posmywam. Control Warrior Mirror match, Lothar. What are the keys to victory in a Control Warrior Mirror?
Well, you want the big hitters to get on the board first, unless it's Ragnaros. Because when almost always warriors are also playing Beacon Hunters, and this is one of the MVPs in this matchup. As then the same goes for the weapons. Like most of the situations, the more aggressive warrior will win if someone just pushes for damage as soon as possible. Uh, like with creatures like Slash Belchers, like with Shields Maidens, Lotep, and with Rope Biters. Those creatures can end the game quickly, even with a warrior mirror match. But when both warriors are playing slow, then the game just goes to the war of attrition, and well, the player that will get the executes faster for the big threats of your opponent will most likely win. We'll see how it goes, because maybe Darkwonyx and Pormywan will have different strategies for this kind of matchup.
Alex Straza is a key card in this matchup as well, isn't it? It really just helps to get if the armor hasn't been allowed to build up for your opponent, Alex Straza can really just get you too far ahead.
Yeah, that's true, but on the other side, if you play aggressively, then Alex Straza doesn't have any value. But if you play slow, then Alex Straza is way better, that's for sure. You know that Alex Straza's ability some time ago did remove the armor completely.
Wow.
It was like 15 damage of health and all armor you had.
That's crazy. That's an insane amount of damage for one card.
Yeah,
And for it to be an 8/8 for 9 as well. That's far too
good that they
overpowered.
changed it.
Yeah, one of those early alpha cards that just wouldn't fly in today's meta. You almost wonder what they were thinking of when they did it. But it's one of those things when you design cards, I guess you got to see how they actually play out when the game goes semi-live before you see just how overpowered some of these are.
Yeah, that's also a really big plus of Hearthstone, that it's a digital game, so you can make like updates of the cards that are already being in the game, and this is not the case in most TCGs because they're being printed. So you have to make an errata, and well, not everyone will be informed about that. Only the competitive players, most likely. So Hearthstone has an edge here over the traditional analog card games.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere after this match, of course. We have two more matches coming up for you today. Ties versus Impact and Green Sheep versus Kit Kats. But we're into this mirror match here. Armor Smith in hand for Darkwonyx. That's a big piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so we're into the match.
Sludge Belcher, Unstable Ghoul, Acolyte. Lots of good options for Darkwonyx here to start with. And two executes in the hand for Posmywam is not what he's looking for.
No, definitely not. The Acolyte of Pain will be really crucial, especially if none of the guys will draw into weapons to kill them immediately.
Double Armor Smith in hand for Darkwonyx here. Do you Do you coin out the armor smith and see if you even get a second one out in turn two?
I think you do.
Try and
If you
build up that
can
armor
just how the warrior without rock biter has no way of dealing with those guys.
without the death spike.
Yeah,
It's just gonna be an
and
armor up here.
if you can, if you can just stack the armor sky high with the double armor smiths, and this is like adding up really fast. So this will be just crazy. But now you drop the acolyte and you pray that the other warrior doesn't have a Fury War Axe.
Oh, it doesn't get a weapon. It does get a shield block though. It does have a shield block in hand and a shield slam as well.
Well, he plays his own acolyte of pain.
Was just going to ask, is there any merit there to using your hero power and shield slamming to remove this acolyte, or are you
I don't think so.
like gives himself the card draw, but also gives two opponent each time he's doing damage here. Gets a sludge belcher, has a Loatheb as well for turn 5, but not really anything for Pormywan to play at this point.
This is an awful draw, really. Second acolyte of pain now. How many cards does he have in hand? 3, 6, 7. So if he plays acolyte of pain, yeah, he just counted it. He would have been pinged so many times that he will overdraw.
Yeah, at that point, you're hoping no one plays a whirlwind just because the animations will probably crash Hearthstone. But the acolytes come together there. Gets a cruel
And
taskmaster. That would have been good a couple
his
turns ago.
he's stacking so much armor. It's insane.
Do you just shield block here and build up even more?
You can.
I think that's probably what he goes for. Do you get a
Second shield slam. Now, when you have double armor smith, those are MVPs.
He already has so much armor. Is he going to kill off the acolyte here and give himself even more?
You can kill any creature for 1 minute.
Yep. If he kills the armor smith here, the acolyte here with the armor smith, it's going to get him up to 11 armor already on turn 4.
I don't think you want to kill it now.
Well, he does.
Oh,
He
okay.
goes out with the trade, give himself even more armor. But there's a death spike coming into hand.
Too little, too late.
Absolutely.
But he will have to use it eventually. Or maybe just play. Then you deny the single spell that can be cast. Belcher will probably meet the fate of a shield slam.
I was just going to say shield slam on the belcher, and then you use the acolyte and the armor smith to kill off the
Yeah,
1/2 and get even more procs on those.
yeah. I think
This
that was a slight misplay from Pormywan here to play that Belcher.
because you just
There were
give
so
your
many
opponent.
ways of getting rid of that big Belcher, just as summon the one attack creature.
And just because he can, he's going to go ahead and equip a fiery war axe, I think.
Well, he doesn't have any other weapon, and turn 6 is most probably Shields Maiden. So yeah, you want to equip it right now.
17 armor for Darkwonyx already. And this is the point where you start to think, well, is there anywhere any way Pormywan can come back? But it certainly can happen.
Yeah, it can happen, but it's highly unlikely.
He's going to need to start shredding this armor as quickly as possible. And he just doesn't have any threats on board.
Yep.
Harris Jones on
The
the death
Harris
spike.
just trigger additional 3 points of armor. Get him a card draw. Oh wow.
Darkwonyx is just having the perfect control warrior game here. And it's only turn 6. And he is over 50 effective life. This
I
is
feel
just
bad
crazy.
for Pormywan here. He must be feeling so awkward in this situation.
What do you do if you're Pormywan at this point? I mean, you've got a Shield Maiden, you've got Dr. Boom, I guess, is
Yeah,
an
you have to play
option.
Dr. Boom. But still, it just meets the Shield Slam, the second one. Wow, this is awful. Yeah, at what point with armor doesn't really matter now.
Yeah. And Dr. Boom in hand for Darkwonyx as well, just to press home this advantage.
If Pormywan will win this game, I will shake his hand. Like, this is impossible.
You'll drive over to his house right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's like 500 kilometers though.
Still, if he pulls this off, he'll have earned it. And Darkwonyx opts Dr. Boom here goes for the Sludge Belcher instead. I guess, a slightly more conservative play, maybe fearing Big Game Hunter.
Well, it made sense because of the damaged Death Spite, which will clear every single bomb. But Pormywan is getting really low, 18 points of health.
Yeah. And the Armor Smith's finally dealt with, but there's actually even a Shield Maiden there if Darkwonyx wanted to go ahead and just get his armor even higher up just because he could.
Yeah.
And the Lotheb coming down here. And so you feel like this is probably the Dr. Boom turn.
Most likely.
Do you shield slam the Lotheb for tempo?
Yeah, you do. Even for 6 mana, it's a good play, I think.
So he can't play the Dr. Boom and the shield slam, or if that's what he's looking at.
Well, maybe just ignore the Belcher and play Dr. Boom.
He can do that, or he can go ahead and he could use the Fiery War Axe charge on face to push a little bit of damage in and equip a new one and do the execute with the slime or the shield slam.
And then set himself up. I think. But if you put just the Dr. Boom on the board, you are threatening so much damage next turn. So I think it's okay to play Dr. Boom.
So he's just thinking very hard about this play as usual. Of course, coming from the life coach school of game time. Not to speak of teammate Lothar, but I think
we know how he does play, how he treats his hearts in the game.
And Darkwonyx is a very methodical player as well, much like life coach. They do share that. As you can see, he's thinking long and hard about every turn here. Does opt for the Dr. Boom. And I don't see a Big Game Hunter or anything in the hand of Pormywan, so he has no way of dealing with these.
He has used the Shield Slam or Taskmaster with Executes away, but still there are 2 bombs on the board, and Darkwonyx can easily deal with every single creature.
Sure, he could shield slam, he could execute, he could run with the bombs into the Shield Maiden and execute both. He can play his own Shield Maiden or a Sludge Belcher as well. All the options in the world for Darkwonyx right now.
Yep.
Which option do you favor in this scenario, Lothar? Do you think you just try and clear everything?
I think you attack phase into the low tip, then sacrifice 1 bomb, see the out, and plan accordingly.
And do you favor the Shield Maiden or the Sludge Belcher here as a minion to play out at the end of the turn?
I think you play the Shield Maiden first. Heck, he's attacking the bombs to the face. So Brawl, okay. Also makes sense.
I guess when are you going to get a better time to use Brawl? And one of the boom bots survives. Wow. That's the best possible outcome from that for Darkwonyx.
60 points of health. Seems legit.
Yeah, as much armor as he has health. Yep. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It's so little damage has gone in from Pormywan. Even if the armor hadn't gone up as much as it did by Darkwonyx, Pormywan just hasn't been able to get anything going on board, hasn't got any damage in, and this has just been a very dominant performance on Warrior by Darkwonyx.
Even if this game will go to fatigue, Darkwonyx still has the upper hand because not only because of the armor, but also because of the Alexstrasza. Like, there's no way Pormywan can keep up with that amount of health.
Just
No
trying
Pickham Hunter, but the Shield Slam for 30 points of damage.
to... I guess that'll do.
Yeah, I think it crushes the whole card into little pieces.
It's a lot of armor to be shield slamming with. And
Yay, 28 points of armor.
so you might actually be looking at the execute here, having run the bomb in.
Yeah, probably that's the reason why he ran the bomb into the Doctor Bomb.
But still taking his time, even though he appears to have chosen a line of play.
Well, he
Um,
will most probably he will kill the bomb, execute the Doctor Traza to opponent's face.
yeah, I was just thinking that at this point as Darkwonyx, when do you play the Alexstrasza? And I guess that time is now. There's not a
Yep.
huge amount of value on the battle cry, but it's still an 8/8 minion. And well, there's a Ragnaros, but it's probably gonna have to be Cruel Taskmaster execute here.
Well, you can risk playing the Ragnaros going 50-50, but most likely this will cost you the game.
Yeah, he's gonna have to Cruel Taskmaster execute to clear this Alexstrasza. Does have the Alexstrasza of his own, but as long as Darkwonyx is pressing the issue here, playing the advantage on board, he's not going to get a chance to use it.
Unless Darkwonyx will draw the Gromash, things can go right now in the other direction. Maybe Pormywan will take the lead. We'll have to see how it goes.
Are you saying we could be here for some time, Lothar?
Yep, definitely.
I think this is going to be the first time in 3 days that we're going to be actually late for our next match because of this match taking so long.
It really depends if Darkwonyx will draw into the Gromash.
Yeah. There's the big game hunter that you could have used a couple of turns ago.
Yep.
But it's just going to be a Sludge Belcher and armor up here. Not even putting down the ghoul or the shield block or anything like that. Just a very methodical destruction from Darkwonyx here. But as you say, this could start to turn around. Do you go for the Ragnaros here or the Alexstrasza, do you think?
Thinking. I think you do play the Alexstrasza here. It will be dealt with anyway, but you will have well. Ragnaros will feel very bad because hitting face will mean nothing at all. So maybe you want to deal with the Belcher first. Well, okay, he's actually playing the Clear Warx.
Yeah, so he's going to go and play the Harrison Jones here.
He
draws into another Belcher.
Old Belcher.
And the Death Shield Maidens from Darkwonyx. His armor is at 25 and he hasn't even played his Shield Maidens. What about Death Spite here to kill the Harrison Jones? Set yourself up for Gromash and a Shield Maiden to replenish your armor. How does that feel?
It should feel good.
That sounds like a pretty good line to play to me.
Sounds like a plan.
When you have 25 armor, Death Spite to kill a Harrison Jones is absolutely perfect. And that's what's going to happen. And of course, that Death Spite down to 1 charge is very, very important for Gromash. In fact, it means that you got 14 damage lethal there.
Bomb Lover not doing much in this situation.
No.
Just because Shield Maiden has, first of all, 5 points of HP, and the second thing is that there's still a Sludge, which you can deal with your own weapon, but still doesn't feel good at all. Oh, he's going for drag. Nope.
He's really thinking about the Ragnaros here. I mean, it's a straight choice between the Alex and the Ragnaros here.
Well, he's thinking that if he plays Alex Straza and your opponent has Gromash, then you lose. Because that's lethal. No, wait, it's 19, so that's not lethal. Well, if he has the Taskmaster, then it's lethal.
Yeah. He's really looking like it's going to be this Ragnaros.
But this will meet a second Shield Slam.
Yep. I guess if you're Posmywam, are you expecting a Shield Slam on whatever you play?
Nope. You just have to ignore the fact that he can have a second Shield Slam.
Oh, in fact,
Oh,
Sylvanas
wow.
Shield Slam is going to be even worse. And
Do it.
that's lethal, isn't it? No, that's a little far off
No.
lethal. But he's getting very, very close to lethal. You'd have 17 damage. He needs 23, so he's getting very close. He can even shield block as well.
Well, I think you do play Sylvanas as Shield Slam on Sylvanas. Oh, that's
But
the
there's
Gromash.
there's the Gromash for
Yeah,
next
you can
turn.
definitely play the Shield Slam on Sylvanas now.
Looks like this game isn't going to go long, like Lothar predicted. It's not. We're not going to see an epic comeback.
Yeah,
Uh,
most likely just because of the mind control.
yeah, and that's 10 there. That's enough with Gromash alone. Even if he can clear everything on board here, armor would save him, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to clear the Shield Maiden anyway. I guess he could bomb lobber and execute.
But he will just play the Belcher and armor up, and this will mean he will be not dead, but almost dead.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not quite enough there.
Oh wait, he has the 1 point of mana for the execute, so no, that doesn't mean squat. But he did draw the Taskmaster, so that's lethal now.
Yeah, so that's going to be enough. Dart one, he's 2-1. Quite a long series that we've seen, but it's going to be Darkwonyx taking it 2-1 over Posmywam, and Posmywam is still in the tournament, I believe, and he's
I
still in
think
with
he
a
lost to
chance.
Semi-Jew. So if he lost